Welcome to 2Cents FC. I'm your host, Amobi and Okugo, back again with my guy, L. Each week, we'll be talking with individuals from around the soccer world, learning about their stories and getting their unfiltered thoughts and opinions. Today, we're joined by Manager of Player Engagement at MLS. If you don't know her, you might be living under a rock, Taylor Wells. Taylor Wells is someone that's helped everyone in MLS, helped me greatly. But we're going to get to know all about Taylor, talking about her career, learning about her off-pitch endeavors and everything she's up to. Taylor, how you doing today?
I am good. How are you doing, Amobi? How you doing, Al?
Doing well. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. First things first, L, let's get it. 2 truths and a cap.
All right, 2 truths and a cap. So, Taylor, this is the icebreaker game that Amobi and I play, just to get to know a little bit about our guests. You'll tell us 3 facts about yourself. 2 will be true, 1 will be a lie. And Amobi and I have to guess what the lie is. So right now we're officially keeping score this year. So Amobi is up 1-0. So I'm gonna try to get I'm gonna try to get on the board this time. So Taylor, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right. You said 1-0, but you've played 4 times?
Yeah.
We've
been taking some
wrong
this year.
All right, let's try this. So my first is I have visited over 30 countries in the world. The second is I was a backup place kicker on my high school's football team, American football. And the third is I taught myself to make music as my pandemic hobby and am working on my first EP.
This might be the best 2 truths and a cap we've ever got.
Clearly they're all good if you guys are taking that many L's.
Well, no, sometimes it's because L whooped me last year, but we didn't really keep score. So some of the times where he picks, I want to pick something else, but it's like, because I'm ahead, let me just follow him so we don't.
Yeah.
So,
love it.
All right, let me see. Visit over 30 countries.
30 countries.
Backup place kicker.
Backup place kicker. Okay.
And music as pandemic hobby with EP.
And we can't. I'll ask a follow-up question because backup place kicker depends where you're at. Cali.
I want to say, I might say backup place kicker is the cap. Just because I know she plays guitar and sings, and we'll have questions about that later. 30 countries doesn't seem too far-fetched. I mean, it could be an avid traveler, but 30 countries is hella country. So
yeah, hella country.
At the same time. So it's between the first 2 for me, but I might be completely wrong. But I'm gonna just take a shot in the dark. I'm gonna say 30 countries is the cap.
Okay, I'm going pandemic. The reason why is because with what you do on and off like work, I don't think you had time to do music unless you already you grew up playing music. So I'm going that's the cap.
Neither of you guys are right.
Oh my gosh.
What?
My high school didn't have an American football team. I ain't ever kicked an American football in my life.
Dang.
Oh, okay. We were trying to give you props. That was pretty good.
Yo, we got some good ones this year. We got some really, really good ones this year. So
I feel like people are conforming against us, L. But
man, Taylor keeping the streak alive as well.
You went to a small school. All right, didn't have American football. But when did you fall in love with soccer, the real football?
The real football. I love it. I fell in love with soccer. No lie. I fell in love with soccer while I was working for Major League Soccer. I grew up playing as a kid, but never played it seriously as one of my sports. I went to Galaxy games and stuff and really enjoyed it, but didn't super follow the sport until I started working in it. And then I started researching because, my job, and absolutely fell in love. And now I'm obsessed. It's what I do all weekend is watch the games and talk about it. And my friends are sick of it, but sorry.
Okay, so all right, introducing someone new to the sport, what would you recommend? This is what you need to learn first when it comes to soccer.
Oh, that's good. 2 things came to mind. One is trying to explain to them the difference between playing for club versus for country. Because people don't understand you can play for 2 teams, and it's like, yes. And if they're unfamiliar, if they only, watch the NFL or something like that, or that's just unheard of to have a national football team. Yeah. So explaining that I think is important. And then the second thing is probably my favorite thing about MLS is that it's the it's the global game. Americanized, and just how the differences between MLS and other American sports, take shape, and then the differences between MLS and other football or soccer leagues take shape.
Yeah.
I think is really fascinating.
Oh, most definitely. Okay, so give us your background. You grew up in LA. How did you get to where you are now then?
Yeah, I grew up in Southern California. Anyone from LA would kill me if I said I was from LA, but you ask New Yorkers, and I just say LA because
Oh, that
they see
means she's from the
California.
IE. She's from the IE
Oh,
or
yes, I am. And I
Oh
am proud
So,
of it.
somewhere in the cut.
She is. How, what? Yes, I
Everyone that's from
am.
the IE just says LA, and then you ask from California, you're like, why are you lying?
I
Okay.
did not lie. I corrected your lie,
Okay.
even though you can't guess lies, but that's okay. Maybe we should just stop lying on this podcast. Um, Yeah, Southern California, Corona, Riverside is where I went to high school. And I went to Orange County, so inched closer to LA for college. I went to Concordia University, Irvine, studied mass communication and marketing. And then I went back to the IE in La Sierra University, got my MBA with a concentration in marketing. And then when I graduated there, I decided I wanted to really break into sports. So that's when I took the leap, moved to New York City, which is kind of the hub for all things pro sport. And yeah, started at Major League Soccer, obsessed. I love it. And also enrolled in law school out here. I'm at Fordham Law, my third year out of four, with a concentration in international law.
That's amazing.
Nice.
What advice would you have for anyone trying to follow in your footsteps? We see a lot of people on Twitter and LinkedIn looking to, break into sports. And what advice would you have?
There's no one right way. There's no one right path to getting into sport, and you don't have to go as hard in the way of education that I have been. But I would say have a clear vision for where you want to end up, and then talk to as many people who are either doing that or are on their way to doing that to get their advice, their recommendations, their mistakes, their triumphs, etc. And people will have conflicting stories, conflicting advice, of course, but I think certain themes and patterns emerge that are super helpful in guiding the way.
Perfect. And what would you say the difference between working like at the team level versus like a whole league? Because doing our research, we saw that you started with LA Clippers, and then obviously you're working with MLS now.
Yeah, I worked, well, really, to be fair, I interned with the LA Clippers when I was a freshman in college. So I was an 18-year-old running around the underside of Staples Center, pretending like I had a single clue what was going on. And it was the time of my life and also the biggest challenge that I think I've gone through professionally, just because, again, I had no idea what I was doing. But it was fantastic training. And as much as it was just, being thrown into the deep end, it also solidified in me, like, yes, I want to work in sport. um, and what I love about working at the team level is, and this was, well, 10 years ago now. So trying to remember back, but I remember that it just felt like such a close knit, very almost small business feel that I really appreciated. I mean, it was an NBA team, so it was by no means a small business, but it kind of had that small, close family feel where you kind of know what's going on in all aspects of the franchise. But now working at the league level, we are one step removed from the players, from the goings on at the club levels, from the stadiums, from the fans, even sometimes. So I think it has a really interesting perspective from the league level because we have feelers and we have touch points in all of those areas, but it's not quite as hands-on as it was as I remember it being when I was at the team level at the Clippers.
No, most definitely. And obviously, you do a lot of great work with MLS. Every player knows, your influence on, their player development. But you started out, uh, you know, I don't want to say the bottom of the ladder and climbed your way up. Can you talk about that journey? From your first iteration at MLS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I started out as an executive assistant, and that job is hard. I'd never been an executive assistant before, and I was like, I just want to break into sport. I just want to do it. I'll take this. And I got there. It's a tough job. But the way I got in there actually was when I first moved to New York and I was looking for a job in sport, I was applying for any and every job in pro sport under the sun, it felt like, and I was not getting any calls back. And I was like, excuse me, like I just got my master's, like I have experience in this industry. Why is that not happening? And it's because of the importance of a network, obviously, which I hadn't established yet out here. But what I did have was a friend who was explaining to me the importance of some phenomenon called paying rent and suggested that I take an interview at a temp agency where she had a friend. Apologies for the siren. We are still in New York. But at a temp agency where she had a friend, and I got in there and they had a position available at Major League Soccer. And I said, I'll take it. And it was an executive assistant position for 4 months. And I was like, okay, I'll do this. And while I was sitting as an executive assistant in the executive suite, I not only talked the ears off of all the executives, asked them how they got to where they are, asked them for their professional advice, etc. I also made it a point to network around the entire company and make myself indispensable to Major League Soccer LLC. So that way, when my 4 months was up, I would stay. They'd keep me on in some capacity or another. And that's kind of how it worked out. By the time my temp period ended, it was a matter of where I was going instead of if I was going, which I'm really grateful for and really proud of, and landed in player engagement, working, doing what I'm doing now. And I absolutely love it.
No, that's amazing. And not only
Yo,
amazing
yo.
from the
One thing I want to
standpoint.
note real quick, Amobi. Sorry to cut you
No,
off.
no, go.
Is executive assistant is a very powerful position. If you don't know, like on the low, like if you want to talk to somebody who's higher up, you got to be nice to that executive assistant. So be nice to all executive assistants. They play a very, very pivotal role in anybody getting through any type of door. So just want to put that
so
out there
true. That's
for the
so
listeners
true.
out there.
Nah, most definitely. Because they can, like, you can have something scheduled, and next thing you know, it's not on the schedule anymore because you're not on their good side.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great advice what you said when it comes to, internships, power of network, and then just being proactive, making yourself indispensable. The way you can create value is by being of value, and anyone listening can take advice for that. But player engagement, what exactly is that? Obviously, I know about it. Elle knows about it, but not everyone knows what exactly you do. So, do you mind explaining it?
Sure, I can. Player engagement at MLS, and obviously I'm here speaking as a career person, not as Major League Soccer's representative or anything like that, but I can speak to it in generalities. Is player engagement is a department that exists at the league office to come alongside players in their off the field lives. So our tagline is to engage and equip players with strategies to succeed now and beyond their playing careers. And one of my favorite aspects of that is that word succeed. It's success based on the definition that each player has for himself. And we work with our active players, we work with our former players, and also we're starting to work with our pipeline of players in MLS Next and MLS Next Pro. So it's working with these guys at these pivotal moments of transition in their lives, moving up, through that pipeline, retiring out, coming in, moving from team to team, everything like that, figuring out what is it that they want to do with their lives once they're finished playing, figuring out what their passions are off the field, figuring out if going back to school makes sense, building strategy around financial literacy. We even touch on mental wellness. So it's a broad range of things that we work with these guys on, but it's really cool to be able to do it.
No, it's amazing. What's been the biggest misconception that you've seen with athletes and when it comes to player engagement and like their off the field? I don't want to say struggles, but off the field endeavors.
Hmm. I don't know, misconception. I think it might just be sometimes a lack of emphasis placed on one's post-playing career or even para-playing career, building a foundation now for what's to come, when there's often such a focus on Saturday, such a focus on the next game, which is obviously important. That's their day job, that's their livelihood, that's their passion. However, I think foresight for what's coming next and how to build towards that is super important. And that's something that we're working with our players to kind of instill in them. And it's really great to see many of them, have that light bulb moment. We're like, oh, right. Yeah. What do I like to do off the field? What do I want to do next? And so that's been really cool to kind of guide them in that. But many of our players have already been doing that for years. And it's great to see them kind of bring along the other guys in the locker room. Like, no, let's start thinking about this. Let's start talking about this. So that's been great to see.
No, most definitely. And you guys have worked with like different companies and organizations and brands. How did those partnerships come about? And what advice would you have for someone like 2Cents FC, to get in front of those people?
Do you want some water? Something like something in your throat? You good?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we are very fortunate to work with a lot of really cool organizations and brands and just people to help our dudes become whatever they want to become. And I think that's really cool. But send me an email, Moby. We'll talk.
Perfect. And then obviously, you study comms, you work in MLS, you got your master's, about to get your GED. What, in your opinion, you've seen
JD.
sorry, JD. How do you go from
Going back to
master's to
high
JD?
school. Oh, God.
Wow, JD. Sorry, you're gonna get your JD MBA combo. What have you
She already
seen?
has her MBA, sir.
Yeah, JD MBA combo. She's gonna like have both now.
I'll
It's
have
like,
both. Sure.
yeah,
I see where you're going with
Okay.
that.
power unlocked.
It's looking out.
All
Uh,
right.
so when it comes to like collabs that you've seen, what makes them like do well versus the ones that don't go so well?
Collabs, what are you referring to?
Like the collabs that you've seen with players, or like the collabs that you guys have done. What makes them successful versus what makes them not so successful?
I always, the answer to your question is good people.
Mm-hmm.
I always say overvalue good people. Like when you're building your network and you're, being all strategic about, who you want to stay in touch with and follow up with and have as a mentor and have as a sponsor and all that kind of stuff, or have as a partner, have as a collaborator. Overvalue good people. And we in MLS are really grateful to have a lot of really good people working for the league, working for our clubs, playing for our teams, and also a lot of really cool people in the athlete development space, in the player engagement, player care space, who come alongside and really just want our players to be healthy, well-rounded, successful individuals. And when you find people who have that same mission, great things happen. Almost as a rule.
That's what it's all about. You heard it here first. Okay, so when you're not making moves at the league office, we gotta touch on this because I was saying you're doing the SATs and you're doing your GED. You're actually studying law at Fordham. How are you
Yes.
balancing work, helping the players out, social life, and all this? What's your time management trick?
My time management trick is, for those of you who are listening, not watching, I'm holding a giant cup of coffee, but also it's just staying organized. Sounds so boring, but that's honestly what a lot of it is. But also just like staying intentional with time, staying intentional with each moment, because yes, it's a balancing act. There's such a let's grind, let's hustle. There's ambition, there's strategy, there's end goal, there's all that. But there's also like, I'm only going to be this young once in my life. I want to be an actual human, be well rounded, have fun, learn things, go places. And it really is just a balancing act of what's the next best. Yes, what is tomorrow Tay going to thank current Tay for? And it's just a moment to moment thing. But we make it work. And I'm very grateful to be able to do both and all the things that I have been blessed with the opportunity to do.
Most definitely. Dream case scenario. What type of law would you practice?
I want to practice what's called transactional law or corporate law,
Deal
which
maker.
is okay, there you go. It's not the courtroom stuff where it's objection, Your Honor. Like, no, that's not my thing. I think it's more of on the business side where, we're drafting the contracts, kind of building strategy and leading from the legal department.
No, most definitely. That's
Okay.
amazing.
So, in a dream scenario, what deal would you like to draft the contract, the deal points for? If there
What
was a
deal
dream
would I want to
scenario out
draft?
there, what deal would you want to be lead
I
counsel on?
find, yeah, I find the licensing pieces really interesting. Like for example, with Major League Soccer and Adidas, I find that partnership fascinating. It's such a huge deal that really benefits both parties in such an incredible way. And so to see that partnership come together and to see it flourish and thrive has been really cool. Like I see your jersey right now. It's what you said last year's Atlanta third. It's real
Yep.
fresh with the three stripes on the shoulders. I love it. Like that came about because a bunch of lawyers sat around and made it happen. I mean, obviously that's reducing it, but
Hmm.
I think being a part of something like that would be really cool.
Amazing. Um, so, like, obviously, you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot of great things. You've been very successful thus far, and will continue to do so. What
Appreciate
uh,
that.
what advice do you have for individuals, looking to pursue? Like, I want to follow Taylor Wells. I want to follow her roadmap, especially for young individuals of color.
Hmm. Well, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, there is no one right way to do any of this. It's kind of just eye on the prize. What is it that you want, and just having laser focus on that. Even when other people say it's crazy, like plenty of people who are much smarter than me recommended that I didn't go to law school at the same time as working at MLS. And I'm grateful that I had the foresight and the network and the other advice to kind of recognize, like, no, that actually is the right move for me. So I think that having that discernment and that clarity of vision for oneself is really important, as informed by a very strong network of individuals who can pour wisdom, knowledge, and experience into you. So I guess the first step is cultivating that network. And then when it comes to being, a person of color, or in my case, a woman, or whatever demography might make up an individual, um, I found myself pleasantly surprised by how many people are willing to lend a hand. Willing, and not only willing, but excited to lend a hand. And there are, of course, affinity groups that work in the sports industry, plenty of them here in New York City, or whether it's like sport and Black women or sport and women, sport and Black people, whatever it is. There are plenty of groups and organizations that I'm a part of because of my makeup. And I've made incredible connections there that have helped me make moves and inform my strategy, inform my plan, that kind of thing. So just taking advantage of resources like that. But I mean, I found that I'm pleasantly surprised by the amount of people, even those who have different characteristics than I do, that are willing to help.
That's amazing. And then growing up for you, you mentioned you wanted to get into the sports industry. Who were some of those role models for you? Who was your Taylor Wells growing up?
Oh, this isn't a sports business. Oh yeah, he was, but Kobe Bryant was my role model in all the things growing up. Fun fact: this could have been one of my two truths and a cap. Was I was at Kobe's 81-point game, which was really
Really?
fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
I
still have
mean,
the
it actually
ticket?
was. I do, of course I
Oh,
do.
okay.
With we have three of them. My mom, dad. No, sorry, my mom. No, not my mom. She wasn't there. My dad, sister, and I went, and we had three of them. We thought about like selling them a couple years ago after he passed because their value just jumped. We were like, no, these are ours.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Go get them,
unfortunately he passed.
get
But
them slabbed up.
sorry about that. Sorry, what was
Saying
that?
So
take
get
them
them like
to like a
laminated.
yeah, get them
Mm.
take them to a grater and get them put into a preserved case.
Oh yeah,
You do
I
that.
don't know where
Yep.
they are right now. I think my parents have them. I should talk to them about that. That's a big deal. But Kobe's mentality about all things just always inspired me as a kid, and kind of seeing his just grit and drive and unwillingness to not be the best, which is a double negative, but it's just like, I will be the best at all costs, obviously, I
Yeah.
think is something that was just incredible to see as a young person.
Amazing. All right. What you got?
Okay. So I saw a post recently, doing some research, but also because we follow each other on social media, of you singing and playing guitar.
Oh
So can
God.
we add talented musician to your long list of accomplishments?
I don't know if we can yet, but aspiring, learning, and enjoying musician, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So you mentioned in Two Truths and a Cap that you're working on an EP. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, it's in very early stages, but I plan to have 5 songs that I release by the end of 2022. That's the goal. That's the dream.
Okay.
I'm putting that out into the universe. But it's honestly, it's an homage to who I call Young Tay, this little like 8-year-old Tay who wanted to be. I mean, at that time, she wanted to be like a pop star and a movie star and a rock star and all those kinds of things that we all want to be when we're children. But
Mm,
I always said one day I'm going to put out music. And during the pandemic, during lockdown, really, when I was just at home, not doing a whole lot, I got myself a keyboard and taught myself a little bit, wrote some songs, and then I got a guitar and I fell in love with the guitar. I was like, wait, now might be the time. Now might be the time to make Young Tay proud. So putting that together, have me a producer and have 5 songs that I wrote, and we'll see where it goes. But it really is just for
okay.
fun, just a little thing on the side. And also, I think it's important for me to show me and maybe others that we can be well rounded and we can do the things that we're not great at, and be okay with that. It's really vulnerable posting myself like singing and playing guitar when I'm not a professional. I'm not trained. But I'm like, you know what? I need to learn to be bad at things and be okay with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Most
So
definitely.
what genre would you say your EP is going to be?
Honestly, that's still coming to fruition as well. My producer and I have drafts of the songs thus far, and so we're still tinkering with them. But it's largely pop influence with some elements of trap and electronic, even a tiny bit of hip hop in there. So it's been a mishmash, but it's fun.
Okay.
What's your
Okay.
like artist name? What do you go by? Young
Taylor
Tay
Wells.
or
Young
Taylor
Young
Young
Tay.
Tay.
Wells?
Young Tay. Oh my gosh.
I was
That'd
like,
be
Young
fun.
Tay. Okay.
No, I was
All right.
referring to
So
young Tay as in like a 8-year-old Tay, younger
Okay.
Taylor.
okay, I got one more question in that vein. Like, who are some of your musical influences?
That's good. I have so many across so many different genres. I've even thought about this. It's like someone's gonna ask me this one day, and I should have an answer prepared. But alas, here I am.
Getting you warmed up.
I appreciate that. Let's see, whose discography do I just really admire? This is not the genre that I am going for. But I really admire the body of work that Pop Smoke put together before he unfortunately passed. And
Okay.
I mean, I can't condone a lot of like the lyrical stuff that he says. However, the way that his work is so cohesive, but also yet so diverse, I think I'm honestly fascinated by it. And also, I think his sound engineer is the real MVP because those vocals are just so open, and I just love that. It just, ugh, love his music.
Yeah, that Pop Smoke is after hours, Tay.
Yeah.
We'll get on that later. All right. So, what are some other hobbies or endeavors that you have outside of work? I know you mentioned law school. You mentioned, working on an EP. Is there anything else that you do? Any other hobbies you have?
I have a lot of things that I do and want to do. In fact, sometimes it gets overwhelming. Do you ever feel that way where it's like, I want to do all of these things in my life and I have exactly 24 hours
That's
in
me
one
right
day?
there.
Yeah. So what I do is I try to cut my life up into seasons. Like, okay, this season I'm focusing on, and for me that's music, and for me that's getting out of the house. Because this past couple of years is very, homebound, and so this season I'm focusing on music and being I don't want to say outside because it sounds like I'm just going out and doing a lot, but it's more just like, go to the museum and have coffee with that friend. Or this weekend I'm going to go visit my brother in Florida. So it's just like get out and do things and experience the things they weren't able to a little while ago, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. Of course, doing so in a safe and responsible way, but just go and do. Say yes.
For sure. For sure. Okay. So, all right. Now let's get into some rapid fire questions.
Wait, what were
What is one
those?
inch? Those are just some fun stuff. So
Oh,
this is the rapid fire stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is one interesting fact about yourself that most people wouldn't know?
I speak Spanish. Intermediate level, working on attaining fluency. But yeah, I studied Spanish.
Yeah,
Like
I knew that.
Duolingo, or you study like in school?
I studied it in high school, but I continued learning
Wow.
informally. Then I did Duolingo, and then now I just watch TV in Spanish. So I don't
Smart.
know if that counts as studying, but Casa y
Uh,
Papel is mi favorito.
Oh yeah, I need to do that. I need to brush up on my Spanish too, for real.
I have a goal of learning by 2026 World Cup. I wrote it on my vision board. So,
Nice.
I'm
So when you
like, I
send me
could,
that email, send me in Spanish. Send it to me in Spanish.
yeah. So I'm just good enough where people can't talk mess about me like in front of me. So that's
It's a good
that's all
place to
that
be.
matters right now.
All right, I need to play catch up then. All right, so when it's time to get into a work zone, what's on your playlist? Pop
Oh
Smoke.
gosh. And literally that was gonna be my answer, but I was like, I don't want to answer that again, but it really is.
That's
That's fine.
okay. Okay. So what's your favorite um off work activity
Hmm.
besides music?
Besides music, besides, travel, what is fun? Yeah, I think I normal things. Enjoy meeting up with friends, going out for a beer to watch a soccer game. That's probably my happy place right there. Is soccer and beer, or on Saturday morning, soccer and coffee.
That's a good combination for sure. Okay. You say you like to travel. What's your favorite food city?
Food City, New York.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's here.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. Um,
touche. Yeah.
what's one skill you think every athlete should develop off the field?
Hmm. I think one skill every human should develop off the field is verbal and written communication, and I think that could get everyone so far. Because if someone wants to, yeah, effectively do anything in this world, it requires interpersonal communication, and I think that's something that anyone can work on, all of us included.
You did touch on something when you spoke to us a while back. What is one form of email etiquette that all humans need to incorporate?
Oh my gosh, I'm the email nerd. It's so bad. I don't know how many players I've taught how to write an email. I think it's just understanding the structure of it and then reading it back, obviously eliminating typos, but it's just like greeting, intro body, conclusion, which is usually thank you, and then sign off signature.
Okay.
If I could give a formula for a standard email, which I know is so nerdy, and it should not matter because we should just be able to message one another like, "What's up? Can you do this, please?" But unfortunately, still it matters. Maybe once like millennials and Gen Z start taking over the workplace, it'll become more text and Slack
Yeah.
based.
It's just Slack. It's like we don't
For
do
Yeah.
emails,
now,
just Slack.
Right. All right. What's your favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Okay. And what's your go-to karaoke song?
That's good. Super Bass by Nicki Minaj. That's so embarrassing, but that's the truth, and I just put that out into the world, didn't I? And when I can't get through it, that's when you know it's time to call it a night.
Okay, dope.
It's hilarious.
All right, so that's it for rapid fire. You can wipe your brow. We'll get into one of our favorite segments of the show, trending topics. So this is a segment of the show where I'll read off some news headlines or trending topics, if you will, and Amobi and our guest Taylor will give their opinions on those topics using the soccer card system. So, no card is I agree or I'm cool with it. It doesn't bother me. Yellow card is I'm indifferent. I can go either way. And red card is obviously I disagree or foul. I'm not down with that. And then they'll give a brief explanation of why they gave it that card. Okay, got it?
Got it.
Cool. All right, so we had 3 this week, but we're gonna narrow down to 1 as to not mess up our political connects. All right, so MLS has announced that it will leverage a historic $25 million loan from a syndicate of black banks. This is the first time any sports league has participated in a major commercial transaction in this way that involves black banks. The transaction is coupled with coupled with the league's strong credit rating will grow the bank's capital cushions through fees and earned interest. So if you know how loans work, earned interest and fees and stuff like that is how banks make money. And this extra money, think about the interest on $25 million. This extra money that comes in will be used to help provide loans for small businesses, home loans and business loans for small businesses in the black communities that these banks serve. So what card are we giving this move by the league and its partnership overall?
Am I going first?
You want to go first?
Yeah, no, it's all you, Taylor.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, I think it's incredible. So I'm going to say no card because I honestly think it's really, really cool. And it's amazing to see it all unfold. And I think for three things that come to mind is one, just seeing the league, and I'm speaking as an individual again. I'm not speaking on behalf of the league, but I'm speaking as someone who's a fan of Major League Soccer. Seeing the league really put its money where its mouth is about all things DE&I right now. Of course, there's room for growth in any and all respects, but I'm seeing the leadership really take this seriously, and I think this is a huge step in that direction. Also, anyone can Google the wealth gap in the United States, and so it's really cool to see that being, I don't want to say addressed, but discussed, and maybe some small move of the needle, something being done about it, or just spread awareness, if nothing else. Even though $25 million is no small feat, but I think the third thing is that it's not charity. We're not like, oh, look at this cute little bank, we're gonna help them out by, this is a strategic business move with a really, really good bank. So this is something that's benefiting both parties in an incredible way. So I just want to emphasize how it's not just charity for Black people, which is good and important in the right context, but this is strategic business moves, because doing business with Black business is good business. And so I think that's my favorite part about this.
Straight up.
Yeah, I can't really add to that. No card for me. I think it moves the needle, and it sets a snowball effect for not only other leagues but other entities to really all right, yeah, you guys are doing all these PR releases, but this is something where it's no, we're actually serious. We're putting our money where our mouth is, and we're gonna show our support not only from a business standpoint but from an impact standpoint. And I'm all about impact, so for me, I think it's gonna definitely set the trend for other people to either get involved or figure out their own ways to do something similar.
Yep, definitely. And we as Black people should be patronizing these Black banks. So we'll be opening an account for 2Cents FC at Citizens Trust in Atlanta, since we're Atlanta based. And then Taylor at Carver, open you a nice little checking account over there. Let's support that way as well.
That's my list of things to do coming up.
Yep, but that's it for trending topics for this week.
Yeah, that's it. Taylor's ties, we couldn't add on to it, but it's all good. Thank you so much for joining us, Taylor. how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn from you, or support your EP coming out, or support anything that you're doing, in
This
and
is
out
the
of
first time I'm
sports?
talking about this. Oh my gosh,
We'll
this being the
drop
music
your
part.
SoundCloud link in
Oh
the
gosh,
in the
we are
description.
not there yet.
Just search Young
No.
Tay.
Amobi. First off, appreciate you guys having me. This has been fun. I appreciate the conversation we had. Always good reflection. Always good to talk with like-minded individuals, good people. Always appreciate that. Where you can find me, you can find me on Instagram, my favorite social media platform, at @twellsmayberry. And I do have an Instagram now for my music called Tiny Apartment Concerts. It's not a spoof on Tiny Desk at all, except for it is. But I think I'm so funny. So that's new, and I doesn't really have much on it yet, on it just yet. But you can also find me on Twitter at the same handle, and on LinkedIn at Taylor Wells Mayberry.
No, most definitely. Taylor, thank you so much. Appreciate everything that you've done for the player engagement community, helping us athletes. But not only that, coming on to our show, 2Cents FC, we learned a lot from you today. And if you're looking to support Taylor, as she gets on Tiny Desk NPR, or her Spotify or SoundCloud, make sure you follow her accounts. We're going to have all that stuff in the show notes. But that's our show for this week. Subscribe, rate, and review. It helps us get discovered. Follow us on the socials at 2Cents FC. Check out our merch at 2centsports.shop, and tweet us your comments on the show. Any topics you want me or Elle to discuss, we give you unfiltered thoughts on a weekly cadence. Appreciate you guys for your support, and we'll be talking soon.
Peace out.